On a cold Monday morning in Nairobi, the capital city did not wake up as usual. Streets were silent. Tensions hung in the air like a brewing storm, and the sun rose over a city on edge. On dusty streets and across social media, there was one shared pulse. The fire of burning resistance was burning again. For many Kenyans, especially the youth, July 7th, which is Saba Day, is more than a date. It is a reminder of sacrifice, of blood spilled for democracy back in the 1990s. But this year, it felt like the struggle had returned home, fiercer, angrier, and heartbreakingly urgent. It wasn't just about politics, it was about dignity. From Kangemi to Mathare, from Eldoret to Nakuru, Kenyans stood up again. The issues were many. The rising cost of living, corruption that had trickled from the top, the brutal death of Albert Ojwang, a teacher and online activist who allegedly died in police custody. In his death, a nation's brave turned to rage. His story was not an isolated case. It was the final crack in a long fractured dam. By mid-morning, Nairobi's outer estates had turned into arenas of protest. Homemade placards carried slogans like, "Rights are not terrorism," and "Our anger is valid." In a surprising moment along Thika Road, some police officers served tea and bread to protesters and journalists. Journalists, a fragile moment of humanity before chaos returned. Because by noon, Nairobi was in full confrontation mode. Riot police flooded the city center, firing tear gas, rubber bullets, and according to multiple witnesses, even live rounds. Protesters threw stones, chanted freedom songs, and some simply sat down, arms raised, refusing to move, but defiance came at a cost. Hospitals quickly filled with the wounded. Human rights groups reported at least 10 dead, with dozens injured. In Kenyatta National Hospital, one mother wept outside the emergency ward, clutching a son's torn t-shirt. He was only protesting for school fees to be reduced. That's what she said in a broken voice. Amid the gas and screams, there were acts of heroism. Volunteers turned into medics, using ripped clothes to dress wounds. Young women carried strangers on their backs, weaving through alleys to find open clinics. Journalists live-streamed everything, many using only their phones. Those are content creators, definitely, making sure the world saw what state ran. Cameras often won't show you. But beneath it all was fear, not just of the police, but of those operating without uniforms. Armed thugs roaming beside officers, wielding sticks and whips. Some eyewitnesses claimed they were working in coordination with security forces. Others weren't sure. What was clear, many of these men were not there to keep peace. They were there to punish dissent. The government's response was kinda mixed, and some government officials called the protest a threat to national stability. Pro-government politicians accused foreign influencers of radicalizing youths. President Sh0t, though not directly addressing the crowd, maintained a stern silence, while his allies warned that the economy will collapse if protests continue. But these statements felt hollow to many, because for those on the ground, it wasn't foreign influence fueling the fire. It was hunger, it was joblessness, it was the unhealed wounds of a democracy that still feels out of reach. And this wasn't just a Nairobi story, by the way. In towns across the country, Kisumu, not really Kisumu, Nyeri, parts of Kenya, the youths who had never lived through the first Saba made this one their own. Armed with smartphones, rage and hope, they chanted for change. This was Kenyans speaking, not as a political party, but as people tired of waiting. And yet, through the pain, something beautiful emerged: solidarity. Because about a 70-year-old lady stood beside some youths. Both, they were like really speaking, I will say, their own opinion. Anyway, if you see artists in Kibera, they also painted murals of Alberto Juan. I mean, there was just solidarity in short. And in the evening, as darkness crept back over the city, the barricades were still there. Roads remained blocked. The smoke had not yet cleared, but across my road, guys, I really hope that you are following this story. And so, the question now is not just what happened on Saba Day 2025. The question is, what will happen next? Will the government listen? Will it reform? Or will the system dig in, protect itself, and dismiss the cries of its people? What do you think will happen? What happened today was not just protests. It was a nation demanding to be heard, a wounded people standing up with nothing left to lose. Hey, that's where we are. And remember, this is not history repeating itself. This is history demanding an answer. Let me know if you'd like. Kindly comment down below.